Hey guys, welcome to another video on Trains with Shane. Today we have another Will It Run video, and I actually had bought this a little while ago and accidentally forgot about it amidst amidst life and everything that's been happening. So I figured we had a demo unit last time with the GP35, which was custom painted in EMD Electromotive demo slash lease color scheme. What we have here is something a little older, and unlike our GP30, which I think might be wearing incorrect colors for what the demonstrator of GP30 may or GP35 may have looked like. There were some comments on that. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be in that color scheme or not. I just like it anyway, and it's my railroad. So this is an SD, maybe? Yeah, SD7 by Life Like. Life Like makes good stuff. Well, they did a long time ago. I'm not sure of the exact vintage of this, but on the low end of end scale in the 80s and the 90s, you had Bachmann. Let's face it, Bachmann. Model Power, Mahano, to various degrees, other manufactured stuff, Rivarossi in their earlier stuff, and a couple other things. And then on the high side, you had Kato making really good stuff, OEMing it for Concore, OEMing it for Atlas in certain spots, and being a little bit higher price, but somewhere in the middle, bridging that gap between toy and a high-end model railroad, let's call it, was Life Like. And Life Like had some better detail. Most of their plastic frame stuff had skew wound 5-pole motors. They ran pretty good, but there were a couple things didn't like about them. One of them was that, first off, they used plastic frames. They used hardwired pickups on their trucks that the wires ran from the truck up to the motor and lighting directly. So if you ever needed to take a truck all the way off, you had to either do so in a manner where you wouldn't have to disconnect those wires or solder some pretty tiny pickup wires. And I don't like that. I like stuff to use direct metal to metal connectivity, like Kato started out with in the early days with Atlas and Concore and stuff. It just makes maintaining stuff easier for your average person who may or may not have any soldering skills at all, let alone ones to do that kind of fine stuff in close quarters proximal to plastic, which doesn't like high heat. In addition to that, a lot of the early Life Like stuff made up for the plastic with lead weights to add weight. I'm not too keen on that either. I know that other manufacturers did that, like Mahano in Yugoslavia did, where they would have weights on some, if not both ends of a lot of their stuff. So they weren't alone in that. But long story short, Life Like was the middle of the road quality. Later on, they merged with Walther's Proto and made what we would consider to be a more, I would call it more mainstream style of manufacture, with split frames, copper contact strips, and floating trucks that didn't have wires soldered direct to them, and all that kind of stuff. I haven't even opened this yet, so I couldn't even tell you what vintage this falls into. So enough of my jabbering, let's find out together. I purchased this on eBay. I really wasn't looking for it, but I got one of these emails. Hey, a seller that you bought from is offering a 20% off coupon on their entire store. So I figured, what the heck, I'd click on it since I had bought a locomotive from him before. Lo and behold, he had this, and at 20% off, it was a good enough deal for me to buy it. So let's get in here. We got our standard. Life likes to use the removable top clamshell here. Get you guys zoomed in, get it right up in your teeth. And we've got, I don't know if you would call this a two-tone red or a red and orange, I guess, but from what I understand, this is indicative of some of the SD demo units from back then. I think the GP7 was actually silver and blue, but in a similar pattern, silver with a blue stripe in the middle. Bloop it down in the comments, guys, if you know for sure. But let's focus on our subject here. We've got our Electromotive Division placard here in pretty decent detail. 990. One thing of interest about the early Lifelike stuff is that the handrails and stuff were often molded in colored plastic to match whatever unit livery. They weren't just painted, which a lot of manufacturers do. In some units, like the yellow and blue Santa Fe war bonnets, the freight bonnets, the plastic looks a little fluorescent-y, and kind of translucent-ish. If you own one of these or have seen one, you know what I'm talking about. But sometimes molding stuff in colored plastic works better than paint. Sometimes it don't. So these actually look pretty good. I don't know if they're molded in this color or painted, but if I had to guess, I'd say it looks like they're painted. Got Electromotive back here. Pretty decent grill detail for the radiators here, and the vents for the dynamic brake. Have our older C or Rapido style couplers, depending on what you call them. Let's get this thing out of its box here. You can see a little bit of yellowing with the plastic here, so you know this unit is older. Doesn't appear to have a whole lot of handling on it. Looks like there might be some dirt buildup between the cab and the top of the short hood here in the crack. Well, that's cool. On a lot of these, I see there's one horn chime facing either direction, so two facing forward. Our radiator fan grills look okay. They're not great. The exhaust stacks have sufficient detail. Would probably look really good with some weathering. And oh, neat, looks like we got some, I'm guessing this is radiator piping up here. I've never seen this before, so let me know in the comments if you guys know what it is for sure. Looks like we've got notations for water and fuel. I don't think we have, let's see if I can get the light shining. Yeah, it doesn't look, I don't think that we have, what we have is a bad focus. I don't think we have number boards that are numbered. Our General Motors logo here on the front. Maybe a little bit muddled on that one corner, you guys can see. Fairly decent front pilot detail. Looks like we've got a rudiment. I don't know if you'd call this a plow or just a step. It doesn't look like a plow to me. I don't believe that this step is movable. Pilot here, we'll check that out here. No, it doesn't appear that it wants to move, so we're not going to try to force that. Other side, more of the same. Got some louver detail in the doors. Looks like EMD intended this to be ran short hood forward. Tip this over gently. If you'll notice, this is a cast weight on the bottom as well. Made in China, as a lot of things are. Looks like, it's hard to tell, but it looks like we might have a metal frame here as well with some copper contact strips, so we might be on the past the manufacturer process that I told you guys about earlier with hard-wired trucks and all that stuff. So this unit looks pretty good. You guys know I'm a sucker for a demo unit. What do you say we stop talking about it and we get it over onto a test track, find out what she does or what she doesn't do? I'll see you guys over there. Alright, we have made room for the executive switching layout that was put together by Steve's Trains that I got from him a while back. Looks like we've got an audience here, one of the Amano shrimp and the big Cory cat back there running around. We have our SD7 here, and let's turn on the power, pick forward direction, and dial up the juice. Oh, there we go. All right, let's bring her back. I think my batteries in my Roku Han controller here are just about done. That's full throttle. And you notice how it picks up quite a bit when we get towards the power pack. So I think we're experiencing a lot of voltage drop down here. One of these days I'll find the AC adapter for this because I've got one. So anyway, long story short, it runs pretty smooth, honestly. There's no grumble to it or any weird noises. Let's bring her up closer for a look. Nice, smooth, and quiet. So that's where we're going to park it. I'm sorry for the lack of production quality in this video. We had a lot of storms and stuff roll through my part of Texas last night and into this morning and knocked the power out for, I don't know, 7 hours or so. And I am suffering from a lack of sleep because of that. Because when the power goes out, it gets too quiet and I can't sleep. And I usually have to have a fan running because I like to have that air movement and stuff. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on another Will It Run episode. Will it run? Yes, it will. Just like many of the real thing ran for many, many years for a lot of railroads. So with that, guys, I want to thank you for joining me on another video here on Trains with Shane. And until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.